Welcome to Meet the Candidates 2015, a voter education program brought to you by the Shakopee Chamber and Visitors Bureau. My name is Angie Whitcomb, and today I am joined by Reggie Bowerman, a candidate for the Shakopee School Board. Reggie, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Angie.
Love to start this off by having you tell our viewers at home a little bit about yourself and why you're running for re-election to the school board.
Yeah, you bet. So I'll start with the important stuff first.
Okay.
I've been married to my wife Lisa for 27 years. We've been living in
Congratulations.
Shakopee for 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
We have two children, Shannon and Sean, who are both graduates of the
Mm-hmm.
Shakopee Public Schools. Shannon is a first-year PhD student,
Wow.
and Sean is a junior in college. Let's see, my education background, I have a bachelor's degree in political science, history, and business.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went on to grad school and I got an MBA
Great.
and a law degree. Let's see, professionally, I have spent my entire career in the private sector in the pharmaceutical industry. That was about 23 years of increasing responsibility positions, including executive management.
Great.
And then I joined the University of Minnesota about 6 years ago, and that's where I've been ever since. I've been on the school board already for about 6 years, not quite, but almost 6 years. That's two different terms, one appointed, one elected, and I've served with both Superintendent Thompson and Superintendent McBroom preceding him.
Sure.
And I have been the chair or the vice chair for the last 4 years, so I've been in a leadership position.
Great.
And the final thing I guess I would say by way of introduction is I think that I have a pretty good grip on the educational issues here in Shakopee, not just because of my tenure on the school board, but I have been on the board for the Shakopee Educational Endowment Foundation for a number of years. I have volunteered for the Shakopee Citizens for Education. I've been on task forces and committees for the school district when I wasn't on the school board. So I think the reason I'm running is because I have a passion for education, and I think I have a pretty good idea of what's going on in the community about education.
Great. So in your opinion, Reggie, what is the most pressing issue facing the school district in the next year? And if re-elected, how will you work to address that issue?
Sure. I would say managing the ongoing growth in our district and the challenges that accompany that growth is how I'll answer your question. I don't know if people realize this or not, but we have been adding to the tune of 200 plus, 300 plus, not quite 400, but a couple of times we got real close, new kids every year for over the past decade. And we don't see that changing.
No.
So that growth is a challenge to find a place for these kids. Now that's of course what we're addressing in the long term with the referendum that we recently passed, but those new facilities don't open until 2018, so we still have a challenge for the next 3 years on where we're going to put those kids. Accompanying new kids is you've got to have the staff to manage them, handle them, teach them, etc. And that can be a challenge at times. I know that past boards, I'll give them credit, and certainly in my tenure as well, we have emphasized that at the elementary level in particular, it's important to keep our class sizes reasonable. So that's sometimes a challenge. I was at the district office yesterday, and we had people coming in to register. You're already a week into school and you're adding more kids, so sometimes you have to look at your budget and say, you know what, we want to keep those class sizes reasonable. We need to add a few teachers. That's a challenge. And then I guess I would say a third thing about growing and being a growing district is you're always wanting to find ways to provide the best education possible, academically and extracurriculars. Academically, it means expanding your course offering because you've got a bigger student body. It's making sure you have the dual credit courses, the AP and the CAS courses, special education programming for kids who need that. But maybe even more so, it's all of the extracurricular activities with a growing student body. And I don't mean your after-school sports. We cover those pretty well. It's offering more in the arts. We're looking at orchestra right now, which would be great. It's supporting student clubs. We had a robotics club start about a year ago. They performed nationally. They competed nationally. They did really well for a young club. It was incredible. We added trap shooting not too long ago. They've done phenomenally well. And the reason I'm highlighting that is because the data shows that kids who are involved in extracurricular activities perform better academically. So if we're growing as a district, we're trying to find ways to expand those offerings for kids, to find that niche for them, that area that they're interested in, because we know it will lead to a better overall experience.
Great. So if re-elected again,
yes,
what 3 concrete actions would you take or would you support that would help promote and enhance the health of the business community?
Okay. I guess I'm still looking at it kind of from an educational lens because that's what I'm running for. So I would say from a school board perspective, it's our job, this is what we're here for, to make sure that we've got the strongest, highest quality, best performing schools we possibly can to in turn produce well-educated, skilled, capable young adults, when they leave the school. Some of them may be leaving to go right into the workforce,
Sure.
right here in Shakopee. Others are going on to college and a career that follows that. But we share some responsibility in providing that educated workforce that you hear talked about all the time, whether it's for here in Shakopee or that greater society needs. So that's kind of a global, concrete thing. It's a good education. The second thing I think I would say would be, I think we can do a better job at publicizing the wonderful things that are happening in our school district. I don't think we do that enough, and I don't mean, Angie, to toot our own horn as much as I mean to build awareness to enhance the reputation of the school district, because that in turn influences people who want to move here, or as a resident or as a business. So a concrete thing I think we could do is I think we could put together materials to put in the hands of real estate agents, local real estate agents, so that when somebody's coming to town and they're doing their house hunting trip and they're wondering, hey, what's the school district like? We're not asking them to make stuff up or come up with their own answers. They can give them materials, and we can always refresh that.
Sure.
But it can explain these great things that are happening in Shakopee so that they're comfortable this is going to be good for my kids. It's going to be good for my home value. It's going to be good for commercial traffic, etc. The third thing, I would say it would be building upon and expanding the brand new CAPS program in the high school, if you're at all familiar with that.
Yes.
Shakopee is breaking new ground. I mean, really new ground. This is some really cool stuff. We're partnering so far. We have two inaugural partners, the St. Francis Regional Medical Center and ShadowP, and we're going to be creating these real-world learning environments for kids to get out of the classroom into the workspace, where they're going to deal with real customers, real problems, real solutions, real needs, that sort of thing. The kids who do it, this is juniors and seniors, by the way, so it's a high school program. They're going to get dual credit, high school and college, so it's good for them. And it's good for the businesses because, number one, they want to partner with the school district, and we want to encourage that. This is a great way to do it. But they're also tangibly involved in the education process. So back to having that well-educated workforce, they're right there. They're helping to do that, and who knows, maybe some of these kids will go to work for them right out of high school.
It'd be great if we could keep our workforce.
Absolutely. So
Yes.
that's three things that I can think of.
Well, great. Thank you. So when you're sitting on the school board, Reggie,
Yeah.
and the school board is making decisions, whose interests do you think should most direct those decisions?
The first one I bet will be common with and probably should be common with my fellow candidates, and that is the kids. Everything we do, whether you're a board member, a teacher, a staff member, it always ought to be what's in the best interest of our kids. That should be our guiding principle, if you will. And if you think about a school board, everything we do is about setting the direction for the district, which in turn influences every facet of a child's education, from who's standing in front of them teaching, to what they're being taught, to the activities they have after school. So our kids would be, first and foremost, the constituency I'd think of. I think the second one flows right from that, their parents, right? We owe them, we being the school board, we owe their parents rock solid assurance that their kids are going to be safe and well cared for anytime they're at school or school function. But even more than that, I think we owe them the assurance that the facilities that they're in are well equipped and well suited for a positive learning environment that's productive for the kids.
Sure.
So that's the second one. And then I guess the third one would be the broader Shakopee community, the district, the citizens, the taxpayers. And that relates to the reputation of the district, which, as we talked about a moment ago, influences what people think about Shakopee. Do I want to move there? Do they have a good workforce that I can tap into for my business? What are home values going to be like? That sort of thing. So probably kids, parents, and the community as a whole.
Great. You sort of started to answer this next question, but if somebody came up to you as the current school board chair
Yes.
and said, I'm thinking of moving my family and or my business to Shakopee, what would you say to them to convince them that this was the right choice?
I'd ask, how long do they have? I think there's a number of things I could point to, and the first one is a real obvious one to me, given what we've just gone through here in Shakopee with the referendum. I'd point to the referendum and the tech levy that passed overwhelmingly, and I'd say, look, this is a community that supports its schools, and they support it with their own pocketbook. And that's a historical thing. That's not just recent. Shakopee's always been very supportive of the schools, so that's number one. I'll piggyback on what I said earlier, and that is that we're a growing district and we're a high-performing district. The more that we're growing, the more opportunities there are for kids, so that's a good thing. But you can hold us up against our peers, and whether you're talking academics, athletics, or arts, we compare very favorably. Are we the best in everything? Absolutely not. But we compare and can compete very favorably. A third thing I would say is that, again, alluding to what I said before, class sizes have been kept very modest. I'm focusing on the elementary school. We've been really focusing on that over the years. We have managed to keep our operating levy very low compared to our peers. There's a graph that we had back during the referendum that showed 20 metro districts. We were the second lowest.
Wow.
So we take that seriously. We have an extremely strong financial position as a district. Our fund balances. We're getting awards for our financial performance. And I would say, if I can kind of sidebar for a second, I don't know if people, I certainly didn't understand it until I got on the school board. School financing in the state of Minnesota largely comes from the state. 90% of it comes from the state. A couple years ago, when the state was facing its challenges from a budget perspective and they were withholding funds, they were saying, you know what, schools, we can't give you all the money we promised you, we're going to give it to you the next year. There were a lot of districts in this state that had to go out and take loans and incur big interest charges just to make payroll. Some of them had to lay people off. It's never happened in Shakopee because of our strong financial position, and that's a credit to prior boards, my tenure, and it's something we want to continue. Then I will say the last reason, I realize I'm going a little long here.
It's your interview.
The fourth reason I would say is all the innovative things we're doing in Shakopee schools. Examples would be the academies of Shakopee in the high school. Now that's not going to happen until we start the 2018 year because it's not going to happen until the expansion is done. But that's going to be huge. The CAPS program we talked about and these real world learning experiences. The one-to-one student technology initiative that the referendum, or excuse me, the levy is making possible, getting technology into the classroom to enhance learning. So that's a laundry list of things, kind of with an educational bent, that I would say to somebody, hey, I'm thinking about coming to Shakopee, what do you think? There's several items.
Sounds like you've written the piece for the realtors already.
Well, maybe some of that goes in there. I've been thinking about that for a while.
So, Reggie, to wrap up this interview, I'd love for you to tell the viewers at home why you're the best candidate, why you deserve to be reelected.
Why I'm the best candidate, I guess I would say in a single word, it would be experience. I've been on the school board now for 6 years, 4 of which in a leadership capacity as the chair, the vice chair, and I have seen a lot of change and a lot of dynamic things happening in Shakopee, and I think that my experience will be invaluable to the community. I think I have a very good grasp on the issues, big and small, that are facing our district. And I certainly think that an example of those would be the referendum that we recently passed and are now implementing. And I'm knee-deep in the issues that this district is facing in terms of implementing that, because it's important that we come in on time, successfully, and on or under budget. And I think my experience will contribute to that, and I certainly hope to be reelected to continue my service on the school board. Thank you.
Reggie, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Thanks,
I appreciate it. And thank you to those of you at home watching this edition of Meet the Candidates 2015. As always, you can get more information on the upcoming election by visiting the Shakopee Chamber website at shakopee.org.